Me to be on a podcast to talk about some of the teams that I covered in my 13 years as the voice of the Bison. When the Zoom starts, the faces I see are Brad Tufts, Charlie Woolham, John Terry, and Doug Birdsong. And Todd then tells me that I've been chosen for the Bucknell Athletics Hall of Fame. Wow, what an honor. It came as a complete surprise, as it's been over 25 years since I've worked at Bucknell, and I am so grateful. I'm sorry that I couldn't be with you here tonight, as I'm currently the announcer at Boise State, and we're at Notre Dame for a very big football game this weekend. Before I make a few remarks, I want to congratulate the other inductees and hope all of you enjoyed your time at Bucknell as much as I did. It's been nearly 40 years since I sent a cassette tape in the mail to a number of colleges looking to be the radio voice of a school's athletic department. One ended up in the hands of Brad Tufts, and I am so glad that he heard something he liked from a 23-year-old who was announcing minor league baseball in Chattanooga. Brad was the best boss that I've had and the perfect one for someone just starting out. He encouraged me every step of the way and allowed me to develop our radio network and weekly television shows, as well as helping him in the sports information department. In 1986, I came to campus right after the baseball season finished on Labor Day weekend and met Brad outside Christy Mathewson Memorial Stadium and began preparing to call the first Bucknell football game of the season. Besides announcing the football games that fall, I would have to generate enough advertising sales to be able to get the basketball games on the air that winter. So that fall was busy as well as stressful. But thanks to a lot of great boosters and companies in central Pennsylvania, we were able to broadcast the basketball games too. The next year, Brad was able to get me on as a full-time Bucknell staff member, and we started a weekly television show for both football and basketball, featuring interviews with coaches and players, as well as game highlights. We secured sponsorships and were able to clear the show on many regional sports networks in the Northeast, as well as airing the show locally. Reflecting on my 13 years at Bucknell, and I did the math, I broadcast 138 football games, of which none were on television, 373 men's basketball games, plus a handful of other sports. One question that I always got from listeners is, what was my favorite game? For football, it was an easy answer. The Colgate game to end the '96 season. The teams were tied for first, and the winner would get the Patriot League title. The Bison were down 7 heading to the fourth quarter, tied it up and forced overtime. In the extra period, Bucknell scored a touchdown and made the extra point. Colgate then would score on their possession, decide to go for 2 in the win, but Brandon Little's pass deflection preserved a 28-27 victory for the Bison. Head coach Tom Gadd had led Bucknell to its first championship in 31 years, and the only one the school has won since 1965. On the basketball side, it's a much more difficult choice, as both Charlie Woolham and Pat Flannery had a lot of success. But if I had to pick one, I think I'd probably go back to my first season of 86-87, when we beat Lehigh 103-100 in triple overtime in the East Coast Conference semifinals, and then went on to beat Towson for the championship to earn the school's first bid to the NCAA tournament. This honor has caused me to remember so many great people who made my time in Lewisburg so special, starting with Brad Tufts. The 2 athletic directors I have to thank are Bruce Corey and Rick Hartzell. All of the coaches, and I'll single out the head coaches in the 2 sports I work with most. For football, George Landis, Lou Maranzana, and Tom Gadd, and head basketball coaches Charlie Woolham and Pat Flannery. And also head coach Gene Depew, as he always made me feel like a part of his staff, as well as all the student athletes that I got to know over time. I'd also like to thank everyone who worked with me on the broadcast, especially my broadcast partners. 2 of the longest were Tim Caldwell on football and Jim Cotner on basketball. And the sports information director, Bo Smolka, who was with me for so many games, traveling with him to road games as well. I'll see him tomorrow. He'll be in the booth with me at Notre Dame, helping spot tacklers and ball carriers. I also want to thank Bucknell for introducing me to my wife, Teresa Barg, who was a softball player when I first got to campus. We connected over Facebook in 2014, got married in 2015, so I guess I ended up as one of the many Bucknell couples you always hear about. These last 11 years with her have been the best of my life, and again, I'm very disappointed that I couldn't be here today with you, and really want to thank Todd Newcomb and the Hall of Fame Committee for honoring me with induction to the Bucknell Athletic Hall of Fame, and to Bucknell for being a part of me for 40 years. Thanks so much, and go Bison.